Chapter 34. It took us a few minutes to get home because the beach where the helicopter dropped us off was about a mile from where we lived. Plus, another policeman showed up and wanted to talk to us. He asked us a lot of questions. We told him what had happened, everything we saw. He took down our names and said he might contact us again with more questions. After he left, we headed home. We walked quickly, taking long strides, chattering nonstop. I tried to brush off the sand that stuck to my wet clothing. All the while, I wondered how I was going to explain all of this to Mom and Dad. When I talked to Mom and Dad, it would help if you guys were with me, I said to Tara and Landon. That way you could back up my story. Otherwise, my parents are going to think I'm just telling a fib. We'll go with you, Tara said, but when this whole thing gets out in the news, they'll have to believe you. I can't believe how lucky we are. Think about it. We're the only kids in the world that have been attacked by a real live megalodon. I would have rather it happened to someone else. Me too. I didn't think we'd ever set foot on land again. We could still hear sirens in the distance. I figured the police and fire departments were busy making sure everyone was off the lake. It would be a tough job too because Sardis Lake is so big. How on earth were they going to get everyone off the lake and keep them off? I tried to imagine what it would be like when a police officer told someone to get off the water because of a shark in Sardis Lake. Sure, it sounded crazy, but we knew better. We'd seen the whole thing with our own eyes. We rounded a corner and my house came into view. Dad was outside tinkering with the lawnmower when he saw me. He got a really puzzled look on his face. I thought you went fishing, he said. Well, we did, sort of. Dad stopped working on the mower and looked at me, then Tara and Landon. You guys look like you've been swimming. Did you fall in the lake? Yeah, that too, Landon said. Dad, I don't know how to tell you this, but we were attacked by a giant shark. Yeah, a huge one, a megalodon. Okay, what's the punchline? I'll bet it's pretty funny. I shook my head. I know you're not going to believe us now, but later when it's on the news, you'll know the truth. There really is a live megalodon in Sardis Lake. Do you hear all those sirens, Mr. Bridgman? Those are the emergency vehicles. I'm sure the police are going around telling everyone to stay off the lake. At that exact moment, a police car turned the corner and rolled down our street. The light bar on top flashed red and blue, but there was no siren. The vehicle moved slowly. This is the police. We have an emergency in Sardis Lake, and we are ordering everyone to stay out of the water until the danger has passed. I repeat. The police car rolled by the front of our house, and the police officer's voice continued to boom. See, Dad, we aren't kidding. There's a giant shark in the lake. We're lucky to be alive. This must be a joke. It's no joke. Actually, I wish it was, but it's not. This is really, really serious. Well, if it's that serious, they'll have something on the news. Dad stood up. I could tell he didn't really believe us, but he knew something was wrong. I'll go turn on the television and see what's going on. And I'm going to go to Landon and Tara's so I can help explain the whole thing to their parents. Dad strode across the lawn toward our house, and Tara and Landon and I headed toward their home. They only live a few houses away, but their parents weren't home. There was a note on the counter that explained they'd gone to run some errands. Hey, let's turn on the TV and see if the news is on. Oh, the news was on all right, and we had a front row seat to view all the action that was going on around the lake. 35. The first thing we saw was a news reporter. She was standing on a dock holding a microphone. No one knows where the giant prehistoric shark came from, but one thing is for sure, somewhere here in Sardis Lake, a megalodon is lurking. Police are asking that everyone stay out of the water until the situation is remedied. Just how are they going to remedy the situation? There's no way they're going to get that thing out of the lake. We'll never be able to go swimming there again. Well, within a week, I was proven wrong. Scientists and marine biologists working with Jennifer came up with a plan to tranquilize the fish. They created a huge ball, nearly the size of a car, and filled it with a special tranquilizer. Then they dropped it into the water where it floated just beneath the surface like a giant water balloon. They were hoping the megalodon would find it and eat it. When he did, the ball would break open and release the tranquilizer into his body, causing the beast to fall asleep. It took a couple of days, but it worked. In fact, scientists were watching from the shore as the megalodon attacked and ate the ball. Within 10 minutes, the giant fish was floating sideways on the surface. Then the real work began. Using a specially designed net and 6 helicopters, they scooped up the Megalodon and raced south, heading for the ocean. They knew they didn't have a lot of time as they couldn't keep the shark out of the water for very long. The whole idea was to keep the Megalodon alive so they could study him. They planned to release him in a deep saltwater bayou next to the sea so he couldn't escape into the ocean. And everything went as planned until they released the fish in the water. Then something incredible happened. 36. The Megalodon shrank. I heard about it from Tara. It was just up after dinner, and all of a sudden there was a loud pounding on our front door. I'll get it, I told Mom. I raced across the living room. Tara's eyes were in shock. Did you hear? Hear what? What's wrong? The Megalodon, it shrank. When they put it in salt water, it got smaller. It's on the news right now. Our television was already on, so I switched it to the station. They think the fresh water had something to do with the shark getting so big. They think that, they're talking about it right now. We watched as they replayed footage of the Megalodon being lowered into the bayou. At first, it looked like the shark might be dead. When they pulled away the giant net, the fish just rolled sideways like he was dying. But then he started swimming around. Not only that, while we watched, we could see that he was shrinking. He was actually getting smaller right before our eyes. Look, there's Jennifer. She's on television. She was being interviewed and she was asked to explain what she thought had happened. She told the reporter about her theory that a baby Megalodon had been trapped in amber for millions of years and the fresh water had revived it. However, I believe the fresh water caused a radical change in the fish's metabolism. What's a metabolism? Shh. The fish had a bad reaction to the fresh water, somehow causing it to grow enormous proportions over a short period of time. When it came in contact with salt water, the process was reversed. That doesn't explain everything, but we hope to learn more in the coming days and weeks. By then, the police had declared Sardis Lake safe and people began returning to the water. Not everyone, though. Many people were still afraid there might be another Megalodon lurking in the depths, waiting. And some people even earned money from the whole thing. Stores began selling Sardis Lake Megalodon t-shirts and hats. There were bumper stickers that read, "I survived Sardis Lake." I thought that was pretty smart, taking something that could have been tragic and turning it around to earn money. Somebody was thinking, that's for sure. After a few weeks of studying the Megalodon, Jennifer returned to her lab. We rode our bikes to see her on occasion. We talked about what happened. Not often. It had been too scary. It was a part of my life that I didn't want to keep reliving over and over. School began in the fall, and all our friends asked us about what had happened. They listened in amazement as we told them how I'd first spotted the fin from our dock all the way up to when the helicopter rescued us. One student in my class was new. She was tall with long jet black hair. She came up to me one day while I was walking home from school. "Hey, you're the kid that was attacked by the Megalodon." "I'm one of them." "I'm Trisha Levine. I'm from Oklahoma. My family just moved here." "I'm Robbie Bridgman." "Don't worry. I'm not going to ask you to tell your story to me. I've heard all about it, and you're probably tired of talking about it." "You're right, I am. But I've got a story that's just as freaky. I thought you might want to hear it. Something that happened to you last year, as a matter of fact. It had to do with what we thought was a strange sickness." "What was it caused by?" This is where it gets freaky. You won't believe me if I tell you. Try me. I was attacked by a giant prehistoric shark over the summer. There's not a lot I won't believe. Okay. It was caused by cooties. "What? Cooties? You're out of your mind. Cooties aren't real." "Do you want to hear what happened or don't you?" I searched her eyes. Somehow, I could tell she was being truthful. "Cooties?" I thought. "There's no such thing. Cooties are just made up." "Okay, let's hear it." Trisha began her story and told me about the Oklahoma outbreak. That's the end of Mississippi Megalodon. And the next book in the series, book number 26, is called Oklahoma Outbreak. If you're interested, they might have it in the library, so check it out if you want. Bye.